back to my channel. My name is Lynn, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about what Disneyland in California was like post-pandemic, and also give you some helpful tips of how to prepare for your next trip to Disneyland. I recently went on a trip to LA, and my friends and I decided to go to Disneyland, and let me tell you, it was so much fun. Not gonna lie, I never been the biggest fan of Disneyland because I didn't like the crowds. I didn't want to wait like 2 to 3 hours for just one ride. It was always so hot, and in general, I just didn't think it was worth it. However, when I went, there was literally no one there. Everything was really enjoyable. All the rules and regulations might have changed as things are coming back to normal, but in this video, I'm just going to tell you everything based off my experience and also give you some helpful tips of how to prepare for your next Disneyland trip. So the first thing that you gotta do before even coming to Disneyland is to first make a reservation and buy a ticket. And you can do these steps by either going on the Disney website or the Disneyland app. Prices for tickets can range depending on what day you go to and how busy the park is. I went on Thursday, May 27th, and my ticket was about $124 for one park, and it was for California Adventure. If you want a park hopper ticket, I think it's an extra $55. From my experience, it looks like that busier days tend to be more expensive because the demand was higher. So just be sure to take that into consideration. And also, I think by the time that this video is up, I think anyone can go to Disneyland. Before, when they first opened post-pandemic, it was strictly only for California residents. However, by the time this video is up, I think it's for everybody. In regards to social distancing, I think Disney did a pretty good job of letting people into the park, and the whole process went very smoothly. They took our temperature, scanned our tickets, and the line moved pretty quickly. And I'm not kidding, I think the whole process took about 10 minutes, and my friends and I came about 30 minutes early, and there was quite a bit of people. However, the line did move pretty quickly. And from there, being at the park was really fun. I didn't have to wait 2 to 3 hours for a ride, which was really great. And when I went, all the wait times were about like 20-ish minutes. I know the ride sometimes says 40 minutes, but it was honestly not even that long because since people were social distancing, it did move a lot quicker. I think the longest time I ever had to wait for a ride was I think about an hour, but the wait times do fluctuate as the day progresses. And that is basically a brief overview about my experience at Disneyland. However, if you want to make the most out of your trip, here are some 7 helpful tips. Tip number 1 is to either get dropped off at the Harbor Boulevard entrance or park at a nearby hotel and walk to the entrance. So during the time of when I went to Disneyland, that tram was actually not operating due to the pandemic reasons. And so anyone that parked at the Disneyland parking lot had to walk from the parking lot to the ticket area. And that walk was about 20 minutes. It's about a mile. It's pretty long. And after being at the park all day, you definitely do not want to walk that back. Luckily, my group got dropped off, so there was no hassle. However, if you do not have that option, you can definitely park at a nearby hotel and pay for their parking. I think paying for parking is the same price, and you definitely do not have to walk that far. However, by the time I upload this video, things might have changed and they do open back up the tram, so definitely check the Disney website for updates. And tip number 2 is to go early. Since there is limited capacity, and if you go early, there will literally be no wait times for any of the rides. And they actually allow people to go into the park before the park even opens. My friends and I went at about 8:30 a.m. and got into the park about 8:40, and there was no one there. So we were actually able to get on a few rides before the park even opens. And tip number 3 is to order food on the Disneyland app while you are waiting in line for a ride. Since Disney wants to limit as much in-person contact as possible, you actually have to order all your food through the Disneyland app. And you can't just order it and pick it up right after you pay. You're actually given a time slot of when to pick up your food. And sometimes that time slot could be 30 minutes after you just paid. So if I were you and you want your food right after you gotten off a ride, then definitely order while you're in line. And tip number 4 is to use the Disneyland app to keep track of the queue times for each ride. This is just so you can pick and choose what you want to wait for. And don't be alarmed if the queue for a ride sounds long. It's actually half the time of what it actually says it is because people are social distancing. For tip number 5, this is just a reminder for you guys, but definitely wear sunscreen and drink lots of water. You're probably going to be at the park for at least 10 hours, and I don't want you guys to get sunburned because it will be blazing hot. And I don't want you guys to faint, so definitely drink water too. And for tip number 6, if you're someone that wants to try some restaurants at Disneyland or at Downtown Disney, then make sure to make reservations as soon as possible. My friends and I made a reservation to the Lamp Lounge, which is a restaurant bar at Disneyland California Adventure. Me and my friends really enjoyed the food there, and they also have very aesthetic and strong drinks there as well. There was definitely a wait outside the door for anyone that did not have a reservation, and my friend wanted to have a graduation dinner at Downtown Disney, but they were booked for at least 2-3 weeks in advance. So if you really want to eat at a certain restaurant at Downtown Disney, Disneyland, or California Adventure, then make sure to plan out a reservation as soon as possible. For my last and final tip, tip number 7, if you want to go on a ride that has a virtual queue, such as the Star Wars Ride of the Resistance ride or the new Avengers Spider-Man ride, you actually have to make a reservation when the virtual queue opens, which is 6:30 a.m. Time slots for the virtual queue will literally run out in less than a minute. And if you don't make a reservation, or if you didn't know about the virtual queue, you can still actually wait in line. However, it's gonna be 3 to 4 hours long, which is honestly a waste of time for just one ride. I think you should make the most out of your time and just book a reservation when it opens. You're probably up that early anyways if you're going to Disneyland at 8 a.m. So while you're up, make a reservation for the virtual queue. And those are basically all the tips that I have for Disneyland. I hope you guys found them helpful. Basically, if you're thinking about coming to Disneyland, now is the perfect time to go, especially when capacity is still limited. And don't be alarmed if you see people posting on social media of the crowds. In my opinion, I think they're a little bit over exaggerating. There might be a bit of crowds when you try to get in. However, the line moves pretty fast. And once you're inside the park, there's literally not that many people there. And if this is your first time at Disneyland and if you don't know what rides to go on, then I definitely recommend the Incredicoaster at California Adventure. That ride is so fun. It's exhilarating, it's thrilling. If you love roller coasters, then you definitely will love that ride. Plus, when the weather gets cooler late at night and you're on that ride, you can instantly feel the breeze coming to you and it feels so nice. Same with Space Mountain in the regular Disneyland park. That one is so fun too. If you're looking for something that's not as exhilarating and thrilling but still fun, then I definitely recommend the Cars ride at California Adventure. And that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found any of these tips helpful, then please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!